You've probably never heard of Dustin Devan, unless you're deep into the tech world, but even then you probably don't know what it cost him to get to where he is today. Dustin built and sold a company called BuildingConnected for $275 million to Autodesk. That's one of the biggest exits in construction technology history. But here's what makes his story a little bit different. When he got that offer, he had $0 in his personal bank account. He'd given everything to this company, his savings, his health, and years of his life. But today, he'll tell you his wishes he made a different choice altogether. This is the story of how he did it and why $275 million wasn't enough. Dustin didn't start out as a tech founder. He didn't even start out wanting to be one. He studied mechanical and aeronautical engineering. Got published in combinatorial mathematics, but only because his professor caught him paying for college by gambling online.
Basically, my professor found out I was paying for most of college by gambling online, so he brought me in to do research in casino games.
His professor was so impressed he actually paid Dustin to research casino games. After college, Dustin took a job at Bechtel as a scheduling engineer, and on his first day, they told him he'd be shipped to Libya to build for Gaddafi. He was 23 years old, and guess what? He said no.
I only stayed with Bechtel for a year because they immediately wanted to ship me to Libya. And I was just not going to go to Libya at 23 years old. There's no way I was hanging out in it. They were building for Gaddafi. And then my friends that were there had to get evac before they bombed Gaddafi. That was a good choice not to go to Libya.
But now he had a problem. He needed a plan B. So he called an executive he knew at a large general contractor in California and talked his way into working on an $80 million Kaiser medical office building. That's where everything changed. Over the next 4 years, Dustin worked on massive projects: Kaiser Roosevelt, the city center in Las Vegas, HP's headquarters, expansion, and so on. But these weren't just jobs, they were an education. Dustin was learning how construction actually works from the inside out. Eventually, he moved into pre-construction, where general contractors figure out what a project will cost them before anyone even breaks ground. And that's where he saw the thing that would change the rest of his life. Here's how construction works when you want to build something really big. You don't do it yourself. You hire subcontractors, plumbers, electricians, drywall crews, concrete teams, etc., etc. For a $150 million project, you probably need around 30 or 40 different trades, and you need every single one of those trades to send you their price so you can submit your price to the client. But picture this. Dustin was working on a $150 million prison project. It was a hard bid, which means the lowest number wins, and you've got a hard deadline, so you must submit the lowest cost at a certain time. He was sitting at his desk, literally cold calling strangers, trying his hardest to find people who wanted to bid on the project. Just let that sink in for a minute.
Here I am wanting to spend $150 million, and it's hard for me to do so. Like, think about that. It should be easy when you want to spend $150 million to do that. Like, the market should allow that.
He wanted to spend $150 million, but nobody wanted to take his money. The tool they were using at the time required a general contractor to maintain a database of every single subcontractor they might ever work with. There was tens of thousands of companies, all the contact information, and it was all manually updated. It was like trying to hire a plumber using a phone book from 2003, except in this case, the phone book is supposed to help you spend $150 million. Dustin thought, this is insane. If you want to spend that kind of money, the market should make it easy to find the right people, not difficult. There should be something that connects everyone in construction together so you can find the best partners, not just the ones you happen to have a phone number for. That was the idea. Simple to say, almost impossible to build. Now, identifying the problem, that took a few months. Figuring out how to solve it, that took 3 to 4 years.
It's easy to identify problems, and a lot of people forget that it's actually the execution of a solution that's the real challenge.
He spent years trying to build it without a technical co-founder, threw away a ton of code and burned money he didn't even have. But it wasn't until he met Jesse Peterson, his technical co-founder, that things actually started working. But before Jesse, Dustin had a more immediate problem. He needed $250,000 to pay developers for the first few months.
I had like $5,000 in my bank. So the only thing I could think to do was quit my job and just try to raise capital, which I had never done before, but I wanted to go full time on it.
So here is what he did. He convinced 2 friends to invest. One put in $50,000 and the other put in $25,000. That gave him enough runway to quit his job and go and raise the rest. And here is where the story gets wild. Dustin started going to coffee shops in Palo Alto, not to drink coffee, but to raise money, table by table, pitching complete strangers. And it worked. He hit his $250,000 target. But here is the part I love. Whilst he was doing this, he was also cold emailing investors with a clever twist. He didn't ask to meet right away. That would have been a waste of everyone's time. Once Dustin found Jesse, they built the product together. But they didn't charge anyone, not even a cent. The goal was simple, to get 1,000 general contractors actively using the platform for free. And by active, they mean they'd bid out at least 3 projects on BuildingConnected. It took 2 years, but finally they hit it.
Over the lifetime of BuildingConnected, we had something like a 93% cohort retention. That means if you build out 3 projects, you never stop bidding out work in BuildingConnected. That's an insane stat.
If you use BuildingConnected to bid out 3 projects, you essentially never stopped using it. That, my friends, is a moat. And once they had 1,000 GCs inviting subcontractors to bid, hundreds of thousands of subcontractors started flowing through the platform. Then they just had to figure out one thing. What will people pay? They layered premium features on top of a massive engaged user base, and the growth went to the 90th percentile year over year. They were crushing it until the thing that nearly ended it all wasn't a competitor, it was something else. Here's what nobody tells you about that kind of growth. It doesn't just cost money, it costs you. There's so much glamour around the startup world, but what almost nobody talks about is what it does to the people inside it. Dustin developed atrial fibrillation. His heart was beating irregularly. It had to be stopped and restarted. His co-founder Jesse also developed health issues.
I actually got AFib in my heart, like irregular heartbeats. I actually had to have my heart stopped and restarted. So
the pace they were working at wasn't just unsustainable, it was completely destroying them. And then Dustin had to make the hardest decision of his life. 2 options, both life-changing. Option 1.
But we had a term sheet to raise our Series B, 180 pre, 40 million. So that was on the table. Like, sit there, sign it, good.
Option 2, sell to Autodesk, $275 million, all cash, and walk away with life-changing money. Now here's what was going on inside Dustin's head.
I firmly believe that we would have got to $1 billion valuation.
He genuinely believed they could hit $1 billion valuation. The numbers supported it, the retention was insane, and the growth was there. But he had almost $0 in his personal bank account. He had poured everything into this company, and his body was breaking down. And it wasn't just about him.
When someone offers you a $275 million all-cash deal, you don't just change your life or your partner's life. We changed lives of many, many people at BuildingConnected. I think 8 people made over $1 million, and then we probably had 50 people make over $100,000.
He had the power to change their lives. So he asked himself one question. How many times do you think you're going to run hot and hit 7?
At some point there, you do have to do a risk versus reward analysis, and how many times you think you're going to run hot and hit 7.
He took the money. Now here's the thing Dustin didn't expect. Looking back, he says if he had his current financial position at that time, he would have taken the $40 million and kept going.
If I was in my cash position today, I would have taken the 40 million on the 180 pre and kept going. But you have to remember, when I sold, I had $0 in my bank account. I was not a wealthy person.
But he didn't have that luxury, and he made the right call for who he was in that moment. But here's what nobody expected, and not even Dustin.
Money isn't everything. You have to have purpose in life.
The money didn't make him happier. And he didn't just say this, he proved it, because Dustin went back to work. He went back into construction technology, back into pre-construction software.
Yeah, I've invested $750,000 so far, personally.
And he started a new company called Edify and put $750,000 of his own money straight into it. He went back because he finally understood something that the exit had taught him. The building was the point. It was never about the money, it was about the work. Most people dream about the moment they can stop working. Dustin Devan got that moment, and it taught him that he never wanted to stop. So if you ever wonder whether the money is worth it, ask Dustin. He'll tell you it depends on what you're building for. If you want to hear the full story from Dustin himself, I'll include a link in the description. And if you found this interesting, please subscribe. And finally, if you want to go even deeper, check out our newsletter. Link in the description below.